Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
So Zoun is actually up 1-0 in the series so far. This is the ace match. Yeah, we're not in the semifinals quite yet. So this is no, not the ace match. Zoun is on match point.
Interesting. Okay. I was not expecting that, but we do have our next series. It is Zoun versus Solar.
I got Solar uses his own portrait here,
It's beautiful.
whereas Zoun, Man of Culture, using the best classic portrait that's in the game. Oh, I just realized we're not going to be getting portraits anymore.
Nope.
But that is going to be enough of that. We are now loading in onto Lightshade. El y Días de los Shadow. L.A. We're in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner of the map. We have the red Protoss player, currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. He is going to be representing Alpha X. We have Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Kai Z Gaming. It is Solar.
I am super curious as to what went on in game number 1. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit, Zoun, maybe a little not as favored in this particular matchup compared to Solar. But, in the past, he, throughout 2020, has been steadily improving. Made it to GSL for, I believe, the first time in around 24. Made it to the round of 16 in Season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even Season 3. But, yeah, even still, you have this little bit of awe when he's able to take a game off of Solar.
Yeah, I think especially earlier on in the year, he was taking names, but I think it was mainly off of the back of his PvP. I think that's kind of what stood out for him. I remember he, took out players like Zest, or I want to say Trap as well, as either Trap or Stats, one of the two. But yeah, like he was actually really excelling in that matchup, struggling a little bit more in the others, but yeah, really impressive that he's already up 1-0 in the series.
And we'll see if he can sort of ride that momentum into a victory, or if Soul is going to fight back here.
Yeah, definitely. And for the people who are a little bit unfamiliar with Zoun, of course, he was active back in the day. I believe he ended up doing his military service. Before that, he was on SKT. He was a B teamer in Pro League, kind of an up and comer, but he never really broke out. But now, after a year or 2 year hiatus, he's returned and he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, it's the return to king, you could say.
I don't know. That's a big claim calling him a king, but okay.
Return of the prince. Return of the duke.
There's another Korean Protoss player called Prince, so.
Yeah, he is also active right now.
Yeah, he is.
Return of the count.
We'll come up with something. But yeah, it's exciting. He's doing well. We're always looking for these Korean up-and-comers. There were a couple of them this year, but unfortunately, a lot of them have kind of, they've fallen by the wayside. I'm talking about Chance, Control, Percival, these guys who came back strong. They were all friends with each other as well, but for the most part, a lot of them, they've, gone to do their military service.
Yeah, well, I'm actually kind of optimistic with some of these players, especially with, Control and Percival, because they're fairly young. They're around my age of that 20-ish range.
Yeah.
So, and especially after seeing DRG come back and really excel after his military service, I have to imagine, they probably feel a little inspired there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, because they went to the military this year, when they come back, ESL Pro Tour is still going to be a thing.
Exactly, may as well do their military service while they're still young, come back while they're still young, and then, just see what they can get done. I mean, it's been proven that it can already work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, you know, we have proof in DRG. He's kind of given hope to all these people, and we'll see how we go. You know, when it comes to this game, we do have Glaives on the way. I believe Solar has not spotted the Warp Prism. It did kind of slip by the Lings, and it is pushing across the map.
It is sort of pushed across the map, but Solar already getting prepared. Roaches are on the way, and I can't imagine that these Adepts would do too much damage. It's going to depend so much on the micro, you know, the target firing, the shades, and the splitting coming out from Solar right now. All right, Joe, you're not going to be committing to shade there. Just trying to find other, you know, points of entry.
Oh, yeah, looks like he wanted to warp into the main base, but the Lings were on top of that. Meanwhile, enough time was bought where Roaches and Ravagers are out here for Solar.
And he actually commits to this shade over here, which I'm honestly a little baffled by.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely.
Really, yeah, just his attention was split elsewhere. So it was a bit of a different group of Adepts. Picks up a couple and makes it out, but in the end, a pretty costly offensive here from Zoun. I mean, Solar, he's going on for the counterattack.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Solar, he's confident in his defense at home, like with his Queens, with his Ravagers, with his Lings. He's confident enough to push out across the map, deny a third base if it was being thrown down, but there was no third.
And in the end, we're slowing down.
Yeah, we are slowing down a little bit. I mean, the Adepts are still here, so, like, Zoun, he is still trying to find some damage, and sometimes all it takes is one warp in of units, one shade into a mineral line, and then he can just kill everything.
Yeah, not quite happening as of yet, but I do like the sort of small bits and pieces that Zoun is able to get here and there. You know, a creep tumor here, maybe shaving off a couple of Lings over there.
Yeah, he's been
So long
doing...
as he keeps most of the Adepts alive, it should be a favorable trade. Ooh, forced to cancel.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, like, he's trying to keep Solar busy at home, but Solar, he's on top of this. He keeps sending his Lings across the map, delaying that third base for as long as possible. And Zoun, like, I mean, he loves watching GPO. He loves watching Pez. The follow-up, the Disruptor follow-up, it's kind of his go-to move. A little bit unfortunate that the Warp Prism is across the map, so he can't go for Disruptor drops. But, you know, he does have that tech here already done.
Yeah, just waiting for that to turn around. All right, a couple of Adepts getting caught in the middle of the map. Zoun once again trying to... I said Zoun. Zoun will try to go for a bit of a run by, but not quite getting it.
Boy, that's a lot of Adepts.
That is a lot of Adepts, and 2 Disruptors are also there.
Ooh.
But Aspire is on the way right now for Solar. Oh, these Slings, though.
Yeah.
They're looking for something to surround.
Exactly. They're sharking around trying to find an avenue, and the wall is a wall.
But that is still a lot of damage output, especially with the surface area on a couple of these exposed gateways. Though Solar will be forced to back away and will be forced to, you know, go for potentially a flank. And will he get it all on the timing? Commits to the shade, Zoun does. And actually going pretty well for him.
Yeah,
Does have a lot of choke points here.
Oh, and what's important is that he was able to kill one of the Ravagers, but the Bile kills the Warp Prism.
And GG is called. Solar evens up that series sideways 1-1 after some impeccable defense.
Oh, yeah, again, forcing Zoun's hand. He kept trying to expand, but Solar, he wasn't letting him do so. He was forcing Zoun to 2-base all in, and Zoun, he had some nice moves, you know, with those Disruptors, able to take out, you know, some of those Ravagers that try to warp in, but as soon as that Warp Prism went down, that was it.
Yeah, that was the end. And now we're going to go into our ace match. We do have a little bit of an update here. That replay bricking is actually intentional. I'm not used to this feeling, Light. I'm not used to this feeling of being correct. But apparently, yeah, people used to just edit the data of replays in older RTSs, and especially in StarCraft 2, which was, you know, meant to be competitive. If somebody changes the data and it's like, actually, I won that game, here's a replay proving it, could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely argue. That doesn't make a lot of sense though. Because okay, it's fine.
That's it.
I mean, because it's a replay breaking, but like after a patch, right? After 2 patches now, I believe. So they're okay
No,
with people
it's not
doing
a
that
patch.
on the patch, just not in older patches?
Wait, because in the current patch they can, but I think it's also because if it's in the current patch, then they can sort of track if something has been updated, right?
Okay,
Or something has been edited. Whereas in the, and again, I actually am not aware of this. You know, I'm not Milk, I'm not a programmer. But I tell you who is not the player here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, the red Protoss coming down from the land of Korea. Going to be representing Alpha X. He took this game, had an advantage, won earlier on, but now forced it to the ace match. Can he turn this around? Let's find out. We have representing Alpha X, it's Zoun. Xiaoyun.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team Kai Z Gaming. It is Solar. Oh god. Bit of a misclick there.
Yeah. Not the end of the world, but you know.
Nerves are getting to him, man. He's going up against the king.
Yeah, he's going up against the general.
Yeah.
Or the 5N. For reference, we actually recently got some confirmation from, I believe, the Alpha X Twitter page. Could be mistaken there, but it was from someone. Did an interview here with Xiaoyun, and we did actually confirm his name isn't pronounced Zoun. It's based on one of the ancient Chinese generals that has been featured in Dynasty Warriors called Zhao Yun.
Yeah,
it's actually pronounced Zhou Yun or something like that for Zoun here, or
yeah. Famously, Artosis replied to that tweet and said he's not saying that, and he's sticking with Zoun. So yeah, that was cleared up on social media.
Look. I feel for him. I feel for Zoun or Xiaoyun here. After years of Yakuzaku or Yakuzaku.
It's one of those things where like what was it? Jet was telling us for the first time. Like for the longest time, everyone's been calling Jigua when really it's like Sigua.
I wasn't Sigua.
Sigua. Yeah, like some. Yeah. We were practicing how to say his name. It's like I've never heard any broadcast reference him in this way. Now, 10
you
years.
haven't watched a Boy.
10 sure. 10 years later, finally the foreign casters are getting onto it. It's like Bwisk, you know?
Yeah, like Bwisk. I remember he tweeted that one time. I was like, I even forgot that my name was pronounced Bwisk. What? It's like Jesha.
Yeah, like it's not Jeshi, it's Jesha. Yeah.
Jesha. And you know what? It's not Robo Facility Light. It's Stargate.
You're right. We do have a Stargate opening coming out from Zoun, going for that Oracle first, followed by that Void Ray. And I like this. Again, like for the most part, I don't enjoy when nowadays when Protoss players go for 4-gate Glaive Adepts. It feels like for the most part, like top tier Zerg players, they've just gotten used to defending against it. It feels hard to really deal damage with it.
Yeah, I mean, the Zerg players have gotten so used to defending it that they're actually starting to experiment a lot more with what they can get away with on defenses. I think most famously Dark has come up with a solution that was literally, I make about 3-4 roaches and that's it. Everything else is just drones and teching up.
Yeah, it's all about like efficiency, right? It's all about like trying to cut as many corners as you can so you can get out as ahead as you can after that push happens. But you know, we do see that there isn't a Twilight Council, like there wasn't a Glaive Adept opening.
And there's not a wall either to protect this third base, but the SimCity does help out a lot. Oracle coming back in and will chase away these links.
Yeah, we do see Zoun. He was perfectly fine. This time, he's able to hold on and actually get his third up.
And that is absolutely crucial in this game. I mean, we saw how much of a detriment that was in that previous game. How Xiaoyun or Zhaun just really could not get any tech other than 2 disruptors out throughout the entire game because he was so behind on the economy. Now we should be seeing a bit of a more even situation.
Yeah, like finally Zoun, he's going to be able to get into this macro game. And again, unfortunately, we didn't get to see game one, so we don't really know what Zoun was able to pull off. It was a relatively long game from what we can tell. And he's throwing down double Stargate.
He's throwing down double Stargate.
Nate.
Also no, actually, yeah, he is throwing down double Stargate. It's going triple. Oh, all right.
Yeah, triple Stargate. Okay.
And we have been seeing this quite a bit more in recent times in PvZ. I think it's something that a lot of Protoss players kind of toyed with for a while before that, you know, thinking maybe if I just rush into something like carriers, right? Carriers plus mothership or something like that, then I should be unstoppable. It doesn't always work out, but yeah, now with the void rate changes, there should be a bit of a transition period. It is so important that Zoun hopefully scouts that Nidus.
Yeah, so because of the revelation, he actually did see the Nidus. He saw it morphing. Whether or not he clicked on it is another question. But again, we'll see what kind of variant of Stargate this is, because typically we see double Stargate and a fleet beacon being thrown down at the same time. This time there is no fleet beacon. He's just committing to these voiders, and he is able to spot the Nidus.
And should be able to take it out with prismatic alignment. Maybe a single link coming out. No, kills it just before anything can come out. Doesn't spot the other Nidus network, but should be alright. A lot of Void Rays are out here. But Solar is just committing to the Lings, and Void Rays, I mean, they can do decently against small amount of Lings, but when there are 22 of them out, yeah, it gets a lot, it takes a lot more to kill them. The Queens have been sent forth just for anti-air.
Yeah, I was about to say that, again, the Nidus was able to finish up, and the Nidus is so deadly because Solar, he was making so many Queens at home, even though he didn't scout the massive gateway commitment, the Stargate commitment. Like, he has so much anti-air here, so many Queens, so many transfuses.
And now we're starting to see Zoun really backed into a corner. Good force field, but it is going to get ravaged down, and the Lings are going to be able to make it into the national base if they don't get body blocked. It's a bit of an oof.
Yeah, for the most part, the majority of the Void Rays have stayed alive, but it looks like they are slowly getting picked away. It's so important that these shield batteries finish up to help keep these Void Rays alive.
Yeah, and honestly, Void Rays are not the unit that you want against Ravager Queens. You know, maybe Tempest or something would work a lot better if you have enough of them, but yeah, Void Rays are really mostly for road
He's working his way through.
Like that.
Like, that was the last transfuse.
That was the last transfuse, and Zoun is starting to fight back, but so many probes have gone down. A lot of production has gone down. Majority of his gateways have just been taken out. The Stargates are still alive, and they're still producing, but yeah, what else can Shoyun really do?
And what's important to note is, again, Zoun, he's not too far behind in the worker count. Like, if he's able to hold here, like, he can continue in on this game, and so far, we just need more Queens. Like, again, he needs to buy time for more transfuse.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, Solar is kind of all in at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He's stopped remaking drones. He's even sent some through his network just to get a couple of spore crawlers.
I actually love that, because again, the Queens were falling and they don't have enough energy to like sustain themselves, so morphing in spores to push on forward is like so ideal. It's so smart. The problem is that there's no creep. Like, he needs to spread a little bit of creep to push forward.
Yeah, and are spore crawlers really what you want against Void Rays? I mean, they are armored structures.
I mean, spores are the best anti-air that Zergs have available to them, so...
They are, to be fair.
Yeah, the problem is that there's no creep for them, right? Like, they're kind of stuck in the back.
They are stuck way in the back. And every time Soul decides to throw in a creep tumor, he's also giving up on a potential transfuse. So it's really a game of choice right now for Solar, you know, risk-reward. And if Shoyun is able to spot the right moment and just really pounce on a misplay by Solar, this army is going to get wiped completely out. This all-in is going to get completely defected.
Yeah, and you know what I love? I love how Zoun, he's found an opportunity, a moment where he can actually, like, you know, spend some supply and go across the map to harass.
Oh, I absolutely love that, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I do have my doubts right now for Zoun's defensive setup as the Zealots are starting to really drop, as these creep tumors are starting to come inch closer and closer with these spore crawlers.
Yeah.
And the Queen's really providing a lot of value right now on top of these Void Rays.
Honestly, it kind of looks like sending those Void Rays across the map was a little bit ambitious, because now that the creep is spread, like, these spores are such a good anchor point for the Zerg army. Like, you can't push into that. That's what's going to be transfused. And now Zali's trying to fight like outside spore range, and he's doing a decent job, but there's just so much Zerg.
Yeah, really trying to make use of the dead air here, and he's doing a decent job of that, actually isolating the queens a bit. But eventually, you know, these Ravagers are going to keep moving forward, take out whatever they can. The shield battery is completely out of energy. Overcharge still on cooldown. And it is looking not too bad, honestly, for Zoun right now.
The problem is, like, he's fighting well, but he's like fighting on the outskirts. Like, he's trying to avoid fighting within spore range this entire time. And slowly but surely, the spores are edging their way closer. Creep is slowly spreading. Meanwhile, the Void Rays have come home. But the Cybernetic score gets taken out.
It does. Only Zealots are going to be able to be warped in from these gateways, and they will provide a bit of a buffer. All things considered, the queen count is starting to drop right now for Zoun, but he really has to be careful about the zoning potential from these Ravager Biles, and he does not want to get caught into all these spore crawlers. Retreating to the third base to get a couple of, you know, to get a bit of a top up here on shields, which I do like a lot. Oh, I'm holding my breath right now. Like, there are still a lot of Void Rays out.
Like, what's so good is, like, Solar, he's been reinforcing with queens. Like, more queens have been funneling through those Niduses, and it looks like he's starting to break through as more and more Void Rays are falling.
Yeah, I think Corrosive Bile did land on top of a lot of these Void Rays. So a lot of them just dropping. Zoun does not have an economy, cannot produce anything, doesn't have the money for it.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Zoun, he's been holding on for such a long time, but slowly he's kind of been worn down. You know, he lost his natural, now he's down to 2 bases, he's losing more and more Void Rays. Like Solar, he's just applied so much pressure, and over time he's been able to kind of overwhelm Zoun.
Just like so. Zealots are going to be helping out quite a bit. Even without charge, they still provide a really nice buffer. But every time Solar retreats, you know, he can retreat to the spore range and just make sure that these Void Rays can't do much of anything. Zoun is rapidly running out of money.
Exactly, and now the Lings are getting through.
GG is called, and Solar is going to be one of your semifinalists for this evening. And that was a pretty interesting series that we saw. Didn't quite get to see that game number 1 that Zoun took, but yeah, I'm really liking what we got. Pretty close, all things considered, but I think it is, as you said there, like, Solar knew that if he continued to apply pressure, eventually Zoun was going to pop.
Yeah, exactly. Like Zoun, it's kind of hard to say, like, maybe if he had those 3 Void Rays at home instead of sending them across the map, maybe that would have been enough to tip the scales in his favor. At the same time, Solar, he was unrelenting, continuing to reinforce across the map, continuing to pump out queens and send them out through those Nidus networks. Again, it was such a smart move for to create those spores. I feel like if Solar didn't have those spores, then Zoun would have overwhelmed him. Like, there were a lot of times where the queens were forced back, but Zoun couldn't keep pushing because of those spores.
That he really could not. And I mean, I was really down in the spores over there for a while, but yeah, Zoun really had to respect them, and Solar absolutely knew how to position them and just how to really zone Zoun's Void Rays into the best possible position to take damage.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. GG, well played. Solar was able to take that series, and now we are going to be getting ready to jump into our first semifinals.
Oh, what's it going to be? It is going to be as a refresher bracket here. Another PVZ.
Yeah, it's going to be another PVZ. Someone at GGE Mini, because his boy is going to be coming out on stream.
That he will. We're going to have Trap taking out Dream 2-1 to be facing Solar in that first semifinals. Meanwhile, we do have Dark versus Time going on in the lower side of the bracket, but that is in the quarterfinals. Winner of that will be going into face Maxed in that second semis. We could have nothing but PVZ.